Today I'm going to show you step-by-step how to write a classical essay. A classical essay is similar to a 5-paragraph essay with just a few differences. It's slightly more sophisticated than a 5-paragraph essay. It's also the style of essay that the ACT writing section would like to see you use, so it's a great structure to master. Let's start with our formatting. In English class, we use the MLA format. Notice in the top right-hand corner, you have your last name and your page numbers. On the left side, you have the MLA heading, your name, your teacher's name, your class, and the date. Below the MLA heading, you have your title, with no fancy formatting, no italics, no bold, no special font, and no extra spaces between the title and the first paragraph. Now it's time for your introduction. An introduction starts with a hook, gives some basic background information about your topic, and ends with your thesis statement. A strong introduction pulls your reader in and makes them want to keep reading. One method for starting your intro is to answer the question, what do people who disagree with me think? Another way is to answer, what brought me to this piece of writing, or what inspired me to write? Here's an example introduction that answers the question, what do people who disagree with me think? According to the old saying, blood is thicker than water, family should come first. No matter the dilemma, your loyalty should lie with your blood relatives, not with friendship or romance. But what if you don't have a family? Can friendship fulfill the emotional need for belonging? These are some of the questions that John Steinbeck explores in his novel Of Mice and Men, the story of 2 migrant farm workers during the Great Depression. Through his exploration of the close friendship of George and Lenny, Steinbeck proves that the bonds of friendship can be just as strong as the bonds of family. Notice that using this method, I start by stating the opposite opinion, the opinion of people who disagree with me. Then I contradict that statement and end with the claim that I'll be proving throughout my essay. Another way to do your introduction is to start by answering what brought me to this piece of writing or what inspired me to write. Usually that is a little story that inspired your writing. Here's an example using this method. I don't know which box to check for race, a student complained one day as we filled in a data collection form for the county school system. Looking over his shoulder, I saw the usual suspects: white, black, Asian, American Indian, Pacific Islander. My mom is white and my dad is black, the student explained. Am I white or am I black? Which box do I check? My student's struggle to put his home life in a box illustrates a growing shift in our country's definition of family. Today's families bear little resemblance to the traditional view of family from the past, and one of the most significant changes has been the increased prevalence of interracial marriage, demonstrating an evolving attitude toward both race and family. The last sentence in your introduction is called your thesis statement. A strong thesis states your claim directly answering the prompt, tells your audience exactly what you'll be proving in the essay, and is written in the third person, does not use personal pronouns. One way to write a thesis statement lays out the body paragraphs for your essay. For example, in Of Mice and Men, Steinbeck illustrates the hopelessness of people without power through the characters of Lenny, Crooks, and Curly's wife. Based on this thesis statement, I can tell that body paragraph number 1 will talk about Lenny, body paragraph number 2 will talk about Crooks, body paragraph number 3 will talk about Curly's wife. So the thesis statement laid out exactly how the rest of the essay was going to look. Here's an alternate way to write a thesis statement. Start by stating your topic, continue with a debatable phrase, then explain the significance to the audience. Here's an example. Today's families bear little resemblance to the traditional view of family from the past, and one of the most significant changes has been the increased prevalence of interracial marriage, demonstrating an evolving attitude toward both race and family. In a classical essay, after your introduction, you have a section called narration. This is one of the differences between a classical essay and a typical 5-paragraph essay. The narration section answers these questions. What needs to be clarified before I continue? What background or context does my reader need to know? What's the backstory? How did we get here? It is usually 1 paragraph long. Next, you have your confirmation section. This section answers what supports my point of view, what evidence allowed me to arrive at this argument. This section can be anywhere from 1 to 3 paragraphs, depending on how much you need to prove your claim. The last section is your refutation. This is where you address the counterclaim. You ask, what are other ways of seeing these ideas? Does that argument have any validity? Your key phrase is, some may argue that, and then you refute their points. Now you're ready to write your conclusion. Restate your thesis in new words, wrap up your argument, and end with a punch. The conclusion ties together what has already been said and ends firmly without trailing off. This is your last word. Make it strong. A good essay often has a circular feel, ending where it began. For example, in this conclusion paragraph, I refer back to the story I started with. Today, we may not be any closer to those perfect family pictures immortalized in the Norman Rockwell paintings from the 30s, but at least we've gotten a step closer to a more inclusive definition that can imagine more than one type of family. Should I check white or black? My student asked, trying to force his home life into traditional boxes. But today's definition of family is not so black and white. Check them both, I told him. After all, isn't that the best way to define the families of today? Family, it's what you make it.